kids are more willing to take their accommodations and modifications knowing that they have those things that the other kids have. I mean, a lot of the kids don't want to take their tests in a different room because they're afraid that they're not going to get the stuff on the walls, right? Okay, well, solve the problem. Give them the stuff on the walls. And it's just your camera phone walking around taking pictures. So that they can be pulled out of the classroom because there's a reason that they take their tests in a separate testing environment. Some kids get really stressed out, and you don't want your classroom to be a place a kid feels stressed out. You don't want that to be the environment you have, and you want them to feel safe and comfortable. And if that means they have to leave to take the test, that means they have to leave to take the test. Now, I've also been known to send other kids who don't have accommodations and modifications to take their test in a separate room too if they want to go. Certain kids. So it's just really going to the need of the student. Because they're not going to perform if they're having an anxiety attack in the back of your classroom. You're not going to get the data you need to teach them. And so I'll leave that one at that one. Extended time. First of all, in my classroom, if you come after school, you can have extended time no matter who you are, and they know that. But making sure that your kids are using it, especially the ones that have it in their, a lot of them will just do it to get done and be like, no. Because when they get to the ACT and they're on a self-paced test and they leave before the rest of the kids because they've never been used to taking their own accommodations and modifications into their own hands, they're going to leave at 2 hours somehow. That's, you know what I'm talking about too. And we need to help them advocate for themselves, but also encourage them to use their stuff because it's there for a reason. And too often it's looked down as negative. In high school, I had 2 teachers make me cry over having my extended time. I really am dyslexic, so I really did have an IEP, and I really did need the extended time to read things, and these teachers were so mean about it. And I know no one here would ever be mean about it, but just being really sensitive to the fact that sometimes kids are really sensitive about it. And making sure that they know and they're encouraged. We had a kid shut down the other day for the whole day, I think, because one of the substitute teachers called him retarded. And yeah, she called him retarded. And he has an IEP, and he took it so badly that I've never met the kid until that day, because one of the special ed teachers, Stephanie Indiana, brought him to me and was like, hey, can you talk to him about how having an IEP doesn't mean you're bad at science? And I was like, well, let me just tell you. Let me just give you a little heads up here. And so he left feeling okay, but all day this kid was so sad because of one interaction that went poorly because all he did was ask to do something. Okay? So we got to be really cognizant of that. They're really sensitive. Make sure if kids read out loud, it's cool, but put them in a part of the classroom that doesn't disrupt the kid that doesn't read out loud. That's, one of those things you learn as you go. Went poorly first.
Have you guys ever used those no, wait, that's a drug. What is it? PVC pipes, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-mm. They're these pipes you can get at Home Depot, the curved plastic pipes, and you can also have kids read aloud into them, and so then it just goes right into their ear.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and they're 20 cents.
Yeah, they're wicked cheap.
Yeah, so you look into those.
And we've talked about the Silly Putty.
Yeah, add those to my epics list.
Yeah.
What are you doing in epics? What is that?
Have you heard of that? Corey Kane has done a little bit of epics too. It's
Corey Kane is really good at finding any resource he can.
It's a service learning engineering curriculum. I went to a PD for it in February.
Cool.
And I'm going to spend the last 2 weeks in all my classes making learning tools because we don't have any at prep for students with accommodations. So they're going to make stress balls. They're going to make some podiums for the back of the class so kids can stand while they take notes.
Cool.
Things like that. Slant boards.
Yeah, I give Marnie Seals a clipboard and give him 6 squares to paste because I'm like, dude, you're killing me.
Marty Seals has a cannon for an arm.
Does he really?
He just joined the baseball.
He is a wonderful human being, and right now his sister because he did not want to go. He's the only kid I know that didn't want to leave urban prep. I cried my eyes out when he left, and he came back.
You came back quick.
Yeah, because his sister got a job here. His mom is very sick, and Larnie has like nothing. Okay, so reading class.
Thank you.
Readings. These, I like to put X, Y, and Z on my readings because 1, 2, and 3 makes the kids think they're ranked. So throw them off. If you look, I just gave you the X, Y, and Z version. Now, sometimes I'll make Z the easiest and X the hardest just to keep them on their game. Keep them guessing. Takes 2 seconds. Okay. Accommodations and modifications. If I put signature boxes on every child's thing in my class of 26, I would be going psycho. I would be looking like the Mad Hat, like running around. My hair would be sticking out, and I'd be going crazy and behavior managing at the same time. But if I put signature boxes next to key ideas for my special ed students who I want to make sure they're pulling the right information from the text, and I use a co-teacher effectively, and he knows or she knows which versions have the signature boxes, I'll be a lot less crazy. So, readings in general in my class have signature boxes. But readings for my kids who need a lot more guidance, need a little bit, like reading is intimidating for some of these kids because imagine not being able to do something and having to do it all the time. It's not fun. So how do I make it so that I can make sure that they're on task and know what they're doing, right? So using bolding, obviously we're still doing that. But also these, every time you see those little ticket boxes on the side, that's a signature box. This was from my first year teaching. So when I used to have them keep paged binders, and also now my little boxes, signature boxes say, "We are college bound, Miss Figgy approves." Mm-hmm. And I got a stamp until they broke the stamp. But now my signature goes there. And so we have that. If you take a look too, the version X is much more chunked. Kids are way less intimidated by this, and Greenberg got it right 1 page. Right, 1 page. We kept it to 1 page here. And so then you also have, for version Y, it's as simple as even adding places to put your answer to make sure they answer both parts of the question, right? But if you look at version Z, it has none of that, right? So they have 2-part questions in version Z with not 2 parts to put the answer in. So I'm not ensuring, but the people who get version Z should be able to do that on their own, right? So you can look at the differences between these. But the biggest part I would like to point out for the reading is the fact that it's more chunked for my accommodations and my modification people. And then also it tells them what paragraphs to look in for some of these. The kids who have the highest version, it does not tell them what paragraph to go back in to look at. So there's here, I'm just going to sit down because we're on our last slide here. So there's a lot of different things, and I know I just handed you all 3 of these, but I want to be really clear about something. Make your easiest reading first. And the reason I say that is, yes, version Z is definitely the easiest thing to make, but if I make version Z first and I cut back to version X, I am way more likely to reduce the rigor in my classroom. If I make what every child should know before they leave my classroom first, and then I build up the rigor, I'm going to ensure that every child gets the base of what I need them to know, and then I differentiate up. Does that make sense? Because I've been guilty, if I do it the other way, of making version X middle school, elementary, and that's not what we need our kids to know. We still need to maintain the rigor and maintain what children need to know. And that way I know that I'm being like, okay, so even if I give version X to student without accommodations and modifications, he's still going to leave my classroom knowing what he needs to know for my test, knowing what he needs to know for physics. But let's challenge him, right? And that gives you a little more freedom to assign Y and Z to certain kids. And if you go along and you see that, it's okay to switch it up. But big takeaways from the readings, signature spots, chunking. Don't give them just paragraph after paragraph because they won't read it. I included multiple choice questions on the back as well. If you look on the back, just having them put in some multiple choice questions. Also, instead of writing out the definition of Newton's second law, underline it. Go in the text, find it. Because this was for IOD, so I don't know if you guys do as much ACT as Urban Prep West does, but this was for IOD 303, which is identifying basic information in a brief body of text. So that was the goal of this lesson, but also physics. Any questions about the readings?
How do you respond to kids that are like, how come so-and-so has only one page?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I pretty much, I tell them that they get different versions based on what they need. Because in my classroom, they all know they need different ACT skills. So, it's an easy fix to be like, oh, well, he needs a different ACT than you. So.
Well, you do a lot of stations too, so
Yeah.
there are many times they're doing different things at once. So
Yeah, this fits more with my classroom, but even if you were to hand these out and be like, why does he have 2 pages versus 1? Be like, you can even just be like, well, everyone's getting to the same place. We just are starting at different places. And you can say it like that. And so for me, since I do a lot of ACT stuff, I'm like, well, that all of you have different places you are with the ACT, so why would I give him the same thing as you? That would be giving Johnny the same thing, and make him feel like, oh, wow, we're all getting special things. Okay. Oh, and I did want to mention this. For your high guys, on your slides, just putting an extension question at